Hi guys, welcome to your first legal video. I unfortunately didn't think to bring home the booklet with me, so I can't point out which notes you need to actually take down, but you can pause at any time to fill in your booklet. I'm pretty sure we start on about page 44. At the top of the page, it'll say occupational licensing, and there'll be a box for a red box. Okay, let's go. Examine the role of occupational licensing in achieving consumer protection. So to do certain jobs, you need to have some sort of license. They're usually jobs where there's a risk of public harm or where there's a lot of trust involved in carrying out the job. So people like doctors, engineers, electricians and builders obviously need this because the consumer might die or get hurt if these people do not do their job correctly. Under professions, we have people like doctors, dentists, veterinarians. For example, these people have instruments cutting into you. You want them to be licensed. You want to trust that these people are going to look after you. Under trades, builders, you want a house that won't fall down on your head. Motor mechanic, you want someone who's going to fix the brakes so that you don't die. Businesses, real estate and car dealers, we'll get to it in a sec. Hotels, motels, restaurants, you've got obviously our liquor licensing issues here. Responsible service for alcohol is very important. I think everybody is aware of detrimental aspects of alcohol in society. And I'm pressing the button and nothing's happening. Here we go. Okay, restrictions also apply to real estate agents under the Property Stock and Business Agents Act of 2002 and motor dealers under the Motor Dealers and Repairers Act of 2013. Because consumers are easily exploited of, that is taken advantage of in areas like these, and they have to trust that they're not going to be ripped off. You'll notice both of the acts are New South Wales law, which means that New South Wales fair trading deals with most licensing issues. Licensing protects consumers by having extra requirements for certain jobs and having legal remedies available if those requirements aren't followed. So, for example, they could lose their licence. Under the Motor Dealers and Repairers Act, motor dealers must be licensed. If you carry on a car dealership without a licence, the fine is $110,000. If you do it again, jail time is an actual possibility. Having this law and having the NCAT to hear complaints under it means the motor dealers have to be licensed. So there are minimum standards like certain qualifications that must be had, and that gives them extra legal requirements to follow. In Rand v Homebush, the CTTT, which is now known as NCAT, this is where the dealer didn't actually say that the used vehicle they sold that had never been written off. It wasn't on the New South Wales Revs checklist. If you don't know if you're buying a second-hand car, you go and look up on New South Wales Revs to see if there's money outstanding or if it's been in a major accident. So the dealer here didn't let the consumer know that the car was actually from South Australia and it had previously been written off in an accident. So if a car's been structurally damaged to the point where it's written off, it's generally compromised, and you should never buy a car that's been in a major accident. Dealers can face serious consequences for breaching the conditions of their licence. Dream Car City was raided and shut down in 2016 after they were caught winding back the odometers on imported cars. The people responsible can get a $22,000 fines, but probably more important, they can get up to 10 years in jail for fraud. NCAT, the New South Wales Civil and Administrative Tribunal, has an occupational division where they look at the regulation of people like motor dealers, real estate agents, taxi drivers and security guards. Again, it's important that these people are regulated and licensed. Taxi drivers, for example, if you are getting into a vehicle at the end of a large evening out, you want to trust that the person that is driving you home is going to take you home safely if you are not at full capacity. Same for security guards, they have a great deal of power. Professional discipline looks at lawyers, doctors and psychologists. These are the higher degree jobs where there's a lot more training through like the university system. In a lot of these occupations, there is actually also a mix between the legal regulation and particular codes of ethics for professional bodies. For example, when it comes to medical negligence, there's the Civil Liability Act, but there's also the Australian Medical Association's Code of Ethics. The Code of Ethics looks at things like doing the best for your patient, performing at your best at all times, discouraging sexual relationships between doctors and patients. It's the ethics. So ethics means doing the right moral thing, making the good decision, the thing that society wants you to do. So, for example, if we're looking at effectiveness and we talk about, meeting society's needs and standards or community standards, ethics comes under that. Another professional discipline, we have the solicitors' rules. They are also in line, we have the New South Wales ones from 2013, but they're in line with the Australian Solicitors' Conduct Rules. So lawyers in New South Wales get a practicing certificate, which they actually have to renew each year. And if they breach their rules, they can have their certificate cancelled, suspended or revoked. If they try to provide legal counsel without a certificate, you can essentially take them to court. Here are some examples from this. So for example, if a client tells their solicitor that they are guilty of whatever it is they've been charged with, the solicitor can cease to act for that client if there's time for another solicitor to take over the case, and if the client doesn't insist on continuing, the solicitor continuing to appear for them. But at the same time, if the solicitor does continue, they can't falsely suggest that someone else committed the crime. They can't perjure themselves. They can't deliberately lie in court. Okay, so any clips that are attached to these videos that I'm putting out today, I will have separate links in the Google Classroom. They will be in the same order that they appear here. Yeah, all right, so I'll see you in the next video in a minute. Bye.